Hey, this is Cameron Parker. You're listening to the Unbelievers podcast.
There were several groups. One of the principal ones was the reptilians from the Orion complex.
Without any exaggeration, it was like being on fire inside.
Rats were eating you up inside.
This stuff was in my mouth. It felt like it was 500 degrees. It was unbelievably hot.
My first question would be, were you a member of the Church of Satan, a card-carrying member of the Church of Satan?
I don't understand.
There's always an argument for everything. You know, just because somebody can fake something doesn't necessarily mean it's
war, and we found a life form. And that's when I started shitting my pants.
So for the person who called, I am carrying an alien.
An alien baby, we covered right here, okay?
Okay.
Something is happening. What is it? That's the question. So do UFOs exist? It depends on what you mean exist.
Australia, the land down under, a country infamous for its wide array of dangerous creatures like the crocodile, the box jellyfish, and snakes. Lots and lots of snakes. But did you know that Australia is also home to creatures even more dangerous and mysterious than anything you can imagine? It is, because tonight, the Unbelievers return to the lucky country of Oz to discuss a whole slew of cryptid beings that surprisingly don't seem that out of place in the land of the lost weekend. From tree sniping demons to anomalous amphibians, we cover it all right here. So smear on that Vegemite and don't stray too far from camp, because it is time for Cryptids Down Under. Right in the program, we continue to learn to unlearn everything you know. Hello and welcome to the Unbelievers podcast. I'm Russ Ryan, and joining me as always is Drea Mora. Hello, Drea.
Hello, what's going on?
What's up, Drea? And also joining us is Brendan Shay. What's up, Brendan?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Good to have you here. This is it. You're sitting, the first time we've got someone sitting in, I guess we call it the Rob seat. You got to sit in Rob's chair for the night for this fun time episode.
Can't wait.
Excellent. And so, yes, I guess it's a bit of a new era. I'm a little flustered here. I got to pull Rob's soundboard clips. I got to get all this stuff together, but I feel good. I feel like we can do it. You guys look excited because, hey, we're talking about something kind of cool tonight. We're getting away from the sex monsters and all that, even though we'll address those a little later, but we're getting back to a good cryptid mashup.
Awesome. Can't wait. Let's go.
Right, fine. Thanks for the support. Well, here we go. Shot out of a cannon, the new era. It's time for Australian Cryptids. Okay, that's not really going anywhere. Yes, good day, Unbelievers. We are back with a real rip snort of an episode as we discuss a whole slew of cryptids from down under. Australia, mates,
What? Yeah, I know those words.
But another
You
rip.
know what? Here, I was listening to that music, and I thought, like, before I came on the show, I had a little, like, herbs, and I thought I went to Middle Earth. I was like, ugh.
No.
You did.
It's as close to Middle Earth as we can get because we're going down under, and this is not an unfamiliar territory for us. If you remember back in the old days, during the Rob era, the before times.
Right.
We covered the Yowie. That's the Aussie Bigfoot. That is also a delicious candy with toys inside. Another rip snorter of an episode.
Oh, yeah, that's the word I wasn't understanding. And it threw me off for the whole rest of your sentence.
Oh, well, let's just say this one's going to be better than a ham sandwich. All right.
Okay.
That might not be the last Aussieism here, but what I find interesting about we're covering these Australian cryptids is that of all the places in the world that really doesn't need cryptids, Australia has to be the top of the list, man. The creatures they do have are, they're scarier than anything that may or may not actually exist, right?
Yeah, that's probably why they're not as known for them, because they take the show, they're the other evil hellspawn.
Yeah, I mean, they're already known for crocs. They got big ass spiders, snakes. The list goes on. What else? Box jellyfish. Those are scary.
Yeah, and then the octopus, like every animal that can be venomous, they have the most venomous version of plants and trees that will make you want to die if you touch them. And even things that aren't supposed to be poisonous, like, I don't know, they probably have poison rocks over there.
Yeah, the cliffs alone are kind of dangerous. Yeah, they probably do. And not to mention those kangaroos are all jacked up and they're boxing people in the streets.
Well, those guys are, man, they're vicious. No mercy.
Yeah, same with the dingoes. We're not going to go there. So, now, yes, the Yowie is a crimson foe, a cryptid foe that we've talked about. It plays occasionally could be crimson, I'm sure. And that one is just as terrifying as any actual creature, though, the Yowie. But what about the other cryptid legends of the wide brown land? Well, we're going to find out, starting with a creature known as the bunyip. Now, you may be asking, what's the John Dory with the bunyip? All right, settle down, mates, because here we go. Let's find out about this mysterious beast called the bunyan. We're going to find out an Aussie form through song.
Oh, the bunyip's very bad, and the bunyip's very bold, and they tell me that the bunyip's now 1,000 years old. So you better come home quickly, and you better hide very soon, or the bunyip's going to get you in the bunyip.
Okay, we didn't learn that much from it.
That song was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it lets you know enough. Now you know just from hearing that thing is scary and we better get home.
I should probably get home. I'll see you guys later.
No. Stay a little bit. But don't take my word for it. Let's unlearn more about the myth and folklore of the bunyip from a documentary by Swamp Dweller.
The legend of the bunyip begins with an accidental discovery in the colony of New South Wales in the year of 1818. Two early explorers and their party happened upon some highly unusual skeletal remains on the shore of Lake Bathurst. Hamilton Hume and James Meeham described the scattered bones as resembling that of a hippopotamus or a manatee, but they were adamant that they were remains to something completely different. The Philosophical Society of Australasia offered to pay for Hamilton's expenses if he would return to the area and recover a specimen of this marvelous new creature. But Hume was unable to repeat the journey, and his discovery soon faded into legend. The Aboriginals in the area would have undoubtedly identified the skeletal behemoth as a bunyip, a carnivorous, semi-aquatic beast that they believed to inhabit freshwater lakes and deep holes along edges of rivers and swamps. Bunyip can be translated to devil or evil spirit.
Oh, yes, undoubtedly, old chaps. This is not a manatee or a walrus. Every Aboriginal agrees this has to be bunyip.
Oh, good. I'm glad that they agree. We don't want any dissent among the group.
So is that what it looks? It looks like a manatee. Like it's kind of like a. I don't know.
It's.
And it'll get
I'd say no at all. It's kind of after hearing that audio, I got to give a little description of the bunyip here. So some say it has a dog-like face, dark fur, a horse-like tail, flippers, walrus-like tusks, a crocodile head, and a duck-like bill. And there are even claims that it resembles a snake with a beard. So this thing.
Wow, that was fun to imagine. It still is fun to imagine. I'm still thinking.
Yeah, you can mix it all up in your head like Mr. Potato Head and Mr. Bunyip Head. Like, all right, I'm going to put the duck bill here. I guess the beard goes here. While there's like wide range of descriptions make it difficult to determine its appearance, it is agreed that the bunyip is aquatic and most likely supernatural. So that's why it's called the devil.
Oh, that's why it's called the devil. It's because it's most likely supernatural.
Supernatural powers, every possible.
I don't think I can possibly imagine a dog face with an alligator head. Sorry, I'm still stuck on that.
I can't imagine anything other than snake with a beard. Those words that's all I got from that whole
Yeah, when they
sentence.
close with that, that's all I want to see either. I forgot all about the flippers, the walrus-like tusk, the crocodile head, all that. So this Bunyan is not a new creature at all. It has been part of Aboriginal folklore for centuries and was even reported on by British interlopers, those guys, back in the 1800s.
In 1845, the Geelong Advertiser reported on the discovery of fossilized bones not so far from the settlement, which they claimed were identified by an Aboriginal man as belonging to a bunyip. The article breathlessly recounted an incident where a woman was killed by a bunyip and told of a man named Mamamwan who showed several deep wounds on his breast made by the claws of the animal. The paper went on to claim that the beast has a head resembling an emu, with long bills at the end, had an extremity of which is transverse projection on each side, with serrated edges like the bone of a stingray. Its body and legs partake of the nature of the alligator. The hind legs are remarkably thick and strong, and the forelegs are much longer, but still of great strength. They went on to say that the extremities are furnished with long claws, but its usual method of killing its prey was by hugging it to death.
Whoa.
I know some people like that.
The death hug that people give. Yeah, poor Mamamwan. He got his breasts all messed up, but still somehow avoided that hug of death.
Fucking messed up breast him. That sucks.
From freaking Limu Emu.
With the fucking serrated edges. That was hard to keep up with too, that description. I like to think I have a good, vivid imagination, but that was tricky.
This creature has every feature imaginable. I can't keep it straight either. I thought I had it down until I started talking
glorious,
about
luxurious
emus
locks.
and thick legs. It's got stingray features on its things, but it's still going to hug you to death. It can do anything to you. Like hugging is the last thing it needs to do.
I know, right? I mean, so does it have a stinger, or it's just got things that are reminiscent of that, and it just wants to slash you. It wants to mess up your breast and hug you.
Yeah, what does it even need tusks for? It seems like a waste. It seems like those are all necessary. Sorry, I'm thinking of necessaries. The Loch Ness dolls. Yeah, it's no necessity having these tusks, obviously. But there is another interesting ye old tale of the bunyip from, big surprise, an Australian escaped convict. Let's hear about this criminal's experience with the fearsome supernatural mishmashed monster.
An escaped convict named William Buckley claimed to have had many encounters with the bunyip during the 30 years he spent living with the Wathaurong people. He claimed that they had been found in many inland lakes, and they were covered in dusky gray feathers. Buckley also insisted that the animal was known to have supernatural powers of malign power, capable of causing sickness and famine if angered by the interference of human beings. He was tempted to spear one of the creatures so that he might preserve its hide and skeleton for a specific inquiry on the scientific end. But he didn't dare carry out this plan for two very good reasons. One, the bunyip was noted by the Wathaurong people as being extremely strong and ferocious. And two, his native host would surely turn on Buckley and kill him if he did so, murdering him in retribution for bringing the supernatural wrath of the bunyip down upon their people.
Yeah, he doesn't want to piss this thing off. And I like that the convict wants to kill, but only for scientific purposes. It's like, oh, this is just a research murder I want to kill.
No, those are the only justifiable murders, right? It's for science.
No, and looking back, he kind of should have. It would have been helpful since this thing is still a mystery to this day. And this guy's like, well, I could have taken it out, but I didn't want to mess up the Aboriginal, my host while I escaped prison.
Yeah, it was like science or, cultural beliefs. That was a good decision he made to not piss him off.
It was a respectable scoundrel, this escaped guy we have here. And there are many other sightings and experiences in the 1800s, which probably didn't surprise many people at the time. Because, if you think about it, in the 1800s, who really knows what is going on in Australia, especially if you're an English person going over there for the first time? This creature actually kind of tracks with everything else that already exists there. And a lot of people think that the bunyip is just a misidentified seal, but I think the idea of that is totally ridiculous.
Sounds like it was wildly misidentified.
Yeah, this thing is notoriously widely misidentified. Like, you can throw anything together and it's bunyip, crocodile face, rabbit ears.
Yeah, that sounds like a
It
seal.
hugs you to
It sounds
death.
like you're describing a seal.
Kind of does. The hugging part, if that's the main thing they're going at is the huggins. But
The Huggins.
it does have some discovered physical proof, though. And that proof is known as the Chalicum bunyip from the 1851 magazine Australasian. Let's hear about that with powerful sound effects.
According to the legend, a bunyip lunged out of the deep watering hole and seized a man from a passing group of natives, killing him in the attack. One of the hapless victim's companions brought the bunyip down with repeated thrusts of his spear. Soon after this incident, the locals decided to cut an outline of the dead beast in the turf, which they would retrace every year for an unknown period of time. It still existed as late as 1867, when the site was visited by Mr. R.E. Johns, the clerk of petty sessions in the small settlement of Moonambel. Mr. Jones drew a sketch of the outline that closely matched a drawing made in 1855 by George Henry Wathen, who made detailed measurements that put the size of the creature at 28 feet from tip to tip. Johns also made a map of the outline's location. Unfortunately, the area was soon settled by new European arrivals, and although the outline was fenced off for a period of time, the land was eventually used as a grazing pasture for sheep, and the outline was forever lost.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real tragedy of colonization, right? That's some dedication, man. These guys were keeping up an outline for years, decades and decades. Like, no, there was a thing here one time. And it almost becomes like the biggest game of telephone in the cryptid world. It's like, we traced it. And then a guy drew the thing we traced. And then we put it, then we made a map. And
I like that. That sounds like a fun game.
the things people did before cameras and stuff. I don't know. Like, it'd be a cool, was this like an early tourist trap? Like, come see the Bunyan outline. Like, what? There's no one here.
I thought it was just because it was like a crime scene or something. They're like, well, we got to wait for the authorities to arrive. And then the guy who was in charge of petty sessions or something.
Yeah, it sounded like they pulled a big wig. That's like the lowest possible public representative. I don't know. The guy of the Office of Petty Affairs must be informed of this nonsense.
Sounds like a fun job title.
Right, especially at that time, I don't know. And
I don't want the heavy stuff. Just give me the petty shit, please.
But it does stand out. Like, if a lot of people stood by this, like 28 feet is ridiculously big. That is like a dinosaur type length. That implies that this is like getting into that kind of territory.
Yeah, I mean, things were bigger back then, right?
So they say, yeah. But this is like in the 1800s. And yeah, it does make you think Australia could be like a real like land of the lost, like, because, so wild, so many weird things all grown there.
It is. That's literally why they would send the convicts there or had that prison there, right? It was such an unhospitable land. So like, fuck you. This is where you're going. It's the closest place to hell we can think of.
Right. They're like, even if we send you to prison there, if you get out, you're going to end up having to fight this prehistoric monster and you can't even kill it because it'll either hug you or the Aboriginals will be cursed. But anyway, look, I'm willing to believe anything in Australia. And so is this host guy. Because his closing words, I think we should really hear because I think he's a believer too.
Australia is an enormous island, boasting an area of 4.7 million square miles. Could an isolated population of the creature still be inhabiting some remote lake or backwater? While I don't believe that is very likely, I don't disbelieve it either. Throughout the history of our planet, many strange life forms have dwelt beneath the umbrella of our innocuous blue skies. It's an interesting legend that fires the imagination, and it opens the discussion of how prehistoric species could be classified if they survived into the modern age.
Yeah, I mean, other than the physical description, like, I'm kind of with him. Like, I feel like this could have actually been a thing. The fact that those people really did believe and carry that on.
It fires the imagination.
It does, especially if your continent's kind of boring. You get something like this, man. I don't know. I like the book.
How in the hell is Australia boring though? We keep talking about how many crazy ass organisms live there. It's like there's never a dull moment. You'd think. Why would you want to? Like, it's too much. I think, like I said, that's why we don't hear so many stories about the cryptids because they got their hands full already. The cryptids are probably like, fuck this place.
Yeah, they're jealous, and they're probably like hunted down. But even for this thing to stand out amongst all that, I guess that's what makes it like intriguing.
Yeah,
the fact that there wasn't like some platypus outline that they kept forever or whatever else they have there.
Maybe they did.
Who knows? But they figured what that was out. Like I said, this is an intriguing cryptid, but we must move on and say, on your bike to the Bunyan. as we shift focus to another awesome Aussie cryptid, the Yarmayahu. You seen this? You heard about this?
Beautiful.
What is it called? The Yarmayahu?
Yarmayahu? Because this is kind of undiscovered. You can put the question at the end. Yarmayahu? Well, I thought you hadn't heard this. The Yarmayahu, also known as the Outback Vampire, has been told in Australian Aboriginal mythology since the dream time. The Yarmayahu, who is said to be a tiny red man with a large head and no teeth, resembling that of a small monkey man or mini monster that drops from fig trees and uses suckers on the ends of its hands to devour human flesh. So this is it. This is a vampire with no teeth. Terrifying.
And he hangs out only in fig trees?
Evidently. I think that is his main hunting area. So
Very interesting.
This little red goblin, he has received a fair amount of attention in the recent years, even been featured on the PBS series Monstrum, who they're going to introduce us to the Yarmayahu.
The original vampiric creature of Australian mythology, the Yarmayahu stands out due to its unusual appearance and interesting feeding habits. Small in stature, the red-skinned monster's other notable feature is its giant mouth. Though it may look silly, these beings give a whole new meaning to the word bloodsucker. Meant to frighten children into good behavior, it also ties the members of indigenous communities to one another, to their environment, and to their shared past. Oh, and by the way, they drink your blood through their fingertips and their toes.
Okay, wow.
Butterflies.
Thank you, Dr.
And
Emily.
their toes.
Thank you, Emily Zarka. That's a great intro for that little red guy. And man, is this where Australians are telling their kids to scare them if this thing isn't real? Teethless vampires?
Yeah, I mean, anything that's gonna suck your blood, no matter what method, is pretty it's pretty good to tell your kids.
It's almost worse. I'm trying to think of even monsters in movies that suck you through their toes and fingers. There has to be something.
No,
right?
just butterflies, like I said.
Oh, okay. Could be in the Mothman family. We don't know if that is the thing. And yeah, man, in that clip though, she says it looks silly, and I have to agree. If y'all look up what this thing's called, it looks like a ghoulie.
How the hell do you spell this thing?
Yara-ma-yha-who? Literally, WHO.
Actually, it popped up pretty quickly
quickly
after I started to. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it looks like a ghoulie. It looks like specifically the toilet ghoulie or Joe Rogan. It looks just like that.
Yeah. I am seeing the Rogan-esque features. I like the first one that I see. And he's he looks like he's partying.
Yeah, he is like a toilet ghoulie, a ghoulie's party as well. And yeah, again, keep your eyes on Joe Rogan's fingers and toes. He might be Yarmayahu. And a little more about this freakish appearance. Its head is disproportionately larger than its body and is almost serpent-like. They are red, as we said, and they stand about 4 feet tall with a very large mouth, but also no teeth. That's why the fingers and toes are used to extract the blood of children. It is also mentioned that this creature carries no weapons, which is something I never think about with cryptids. Not many of them are known for carrying weapons. It's just a great detail to throw in there. Maybe Frogman, he uses
Mothman always keeps that thing on him.
He's got his wand. Bigfoot throws rocks too, right? That's kind of considered a weapon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Bigfoot throws rocks. I can't think of many others. It's not like the Dogman would have nunchucks or something. Most of us assume the monsters don't need weapons, and the Yarmayahu, he can be included in that number. But according to Monstrum, Yarmayahu, who don't need no bloomin' weapons.
In fact, the Yarmayahu has 2 grisly weapons to employ: sucker cup-laden appendages and regurgitation. According to one folktale, a man, tired from hunting, fell asleep under a tree. Before he could even utter a sound, a Yarmayahu leapt upon him and sucked his blood with its fingers and toes. The monster began to swallow him whole, creeping over his body with its mouth unnaturally wide. The hunter's mother saw what was happening and grabbed her husband's spear, but she was too far away, and before she could come close to the monster, the Yarmayahu stood and ran off to a watering hole, his new victim in his stomach. While telling the tale to little children in her community, the mother lamented the Yarmayahu must have vomited him back up. A smart man, she instructed, would have played dead until dark when the monster was asleep and it was safer to flee. Her son, she believes, tried to escape, but the monster caught him, only to swallow him up again and again, until he became like the monster himself. He had turned into a Yarmayahu.
That is a very detailed story used to frightened kids that they're telling. There's a lot going on there. Multiple what?
Sucker cup-laden appendages and regurgitation?
Multiple regurgitations of your body. What is happening?
So that's why his mouth's so big.
Right, and this like
Dude,
the
that
snake
would scare the shit out of me if I heard that as a kid.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable right now.
Hearing that, when the story is, there's a monster there, he's going to eat you, but he's also going to puke you up. And then you better stay there or he's going to eat you and puke you up again over and over.
Like a dog.
Yeah, right? It's got some dingo-esque dog qualities as well, now we're noticing here. But the multiple regurgitations, that is a common theme with Yarmayahu as we get some of the reasoning for this very, very specific cryptid lore.
The Yarmayahu's fingers and toes each end in a cup-shaped sucker like those of an octopus, but these suckers drain their victims' blood. And it gets worse. Yarmayahu drains just enough blood from its victims to incapacitate them. Then, like a cat with a mouse, the games begin. Once the victim is unconscious, the Yarmayahu crawls toward it and swallows the body whole, head first. This apparently takes considerable energy, requiring the monster to take a long drink of water and then curl up for a nap, the victim still alive in its belly. Upon waking, the Yarmayahu vomits up its presumably terrified meal. And it gets weirder. Only once the creature falls asleep again, it clearly has a thing for naps, its victim can run away. And if the Yarmayahu wakes, the victim may be safe since the monster cannot run very fast, its gait resembling that of a cockatoo. But you knew there was going to be a but, didn't you? It's not just the loss of blood that the human prey must fear. If a person is caught by the Yarmayahu more than once, they will become shorter and shorter each time it regurgitates them until they become as small as the monster itself.
So wait, so this is like an Alice in Wonderland situation where you're just shrinking incrementally until you just become the monster? I don't know.
That's it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And also it's slow and has to take naps constantly. It's like, crikey.
It walks like a cockatoo. Or it runs like a cockatoo.
Yeah, nothing scarier than a creature
butt,
with a cockatoo's gait, as she said in there.
You knew there was going to be a butt. There's always butts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You think so?
You knew there was going to be a but, didn't you?
I did.
That's actually what I think we can use multiple times for different. I'll have to hang on to that clip because you never know.
You knew there was going to be a but, didn't you?
Oh, wait. You did know. All right. I got to figure out I'll figure out a way to work that in at some point. But yeah, so over time and multiple regurgitations, anyone who swallowed, they become completely red and largemouth until they are just also a full-on Yarmayahu. I guess this
So there's like an intermediate stage where they're just kind of pink and maybe just on the short side?
Gotta be some guy who got halfway through. Like, he's like, I still have a couple teeth, my mouth's pretty big. And I'm like,
but then he's getting more tired and taking naps and can't run too much, so he keeps getting caught.
Someone had to intervene, though. This is like a long process. This thing is slow moving. It's taking naps, and you're crawling around like half red, like,
how many times does it take to?
Yeah, but how tall did they say it is?
It's 4 feet tall, so it has to work you down from whatever you start with. So if you're short, maybe it's a little shorter. Maybe you only get regurgitated like 4 times. But the tall guys,
if you're exactly 4 foot tall, you don't get regurgitated. You're just done.
Yeah. No, yeah. One swallow, boom, that's it. So I learned a lot about Aboriginal mythos researching this. The indigenous people of Australia believe in 3 types of beings that are outside of humans and animals. This is their big 3 of weirdness, which includes the ancestral creators. Those are guys from the dream time, this is called, the before times. Ghosts and spirit beings. And the Yarmayahu would fall under the category of spirit beings. These are beings who exist in the here and now, not in the dream time, and their appearance can vary according to location. You want to hear about some Yarmayahu variants?
We may as well.
Oh, I was gonna say, too bad. Here they are.
Yeah, why do you ever ask?
In Western Australia, the Yarmayahu's counterpart looks more like an orangutan or a monkey and has a hairy, but still red, body. In fact, one thing almost all the stories have in common is the unusual coloring of the little men. They could be yellow, green, gray, white, or red like our friend the Yarmayahu. The broader group of these little men generally live on high ground, whether it be on the tops of cliffs, hills, or sand dunes. Most active at dawn and dusk, they are spotted either in pairs or alone. Hunters would leave out offerings from their kills to appease these beings. Of course, there are ways in which Yarma-Yahoo tales differ from those of these other spirit men. They are not reported in pairs, and they do most of their hunting during the day. They are truly unique, however, in that they alone threaten to make you one of their kind.
Yeah, so there's a whole family of, I like these spirit beings. So they come in all stars and stripes, but the whole making you one of them is their very unique defining quality. One of us.
Dude, I've seen a bunch of red hairy guys on the beach before.
Uncle Yarma-Yahoos. Yeah, they could be hairy guys.
Did you want to join? Did you want to be one of them?
He did try to swallow it, maybe. Well, it's usually head first, Brendan.
Little hairy
not
guy.
Whatever you got. The little hairy guy, whatever he had going on. So, yeah, it is also noted that, once British invaders arrived, that they took the Aboriginal legends as fact because, why wouldn't you? This is Australia. You're already surrounded by insane animals. Why would they lie about something like that? Why would they lie about Yarma-Yahoo or Bunyip or Yowie? There is a theory, though, about the possible existence of little monsters in Australia, and we should hear it. And bonus, we get to hear the host kind of letting loose a little. She's being a little serious, but she loosens up.
20th century anthropologist and archaeologist Norman B. Tyndale believed that accounts of the spirit men, or little folk, were actually the diluted oral history of a race of pygmy people believed to have arrived in Australia more than 30,000 years ago. The increasing exchange of cultural practices and folklore in post-colonial Australia meant that indigenous myths were forever altered, including the mythology describing its monsters. This helps explain, for example, why the Yarma-Yahoo is more often classified as a vampire species in modern times, rather than as the spirit being it originally was understood to be. Still, reported sightings of various diminutive humanoid beings in Australia continued well into the 1980s, and folklore of the spirit men continues to be shared among members of indigenous communities today. The Yarma-Yahoo might be a strange body, but it is nonetheless a body of knowledge. I'll do it again. I have an existential crisis every time, I swear. How quirky. Don't look at me.
Oh, how quirky indeed.
Existential crisis? What is wrong with
the
you?
actual, yeah.
I have an existential crisis every time, I swear.
Sorry, I had to pull her in there, but I'm listening to that final bit. This is just like the Aussie Fae, right, Brendan? You know about the Fae. This just sounds like almost Fae legend, little people, right?
Yeah.
You think of Mexico?
Like elemental.
Right. They're trying to blame pygmy people or something, but, they're just...
Little Monsters. That was one of my favorite movies.
Little Monsters with Fred Savage and Howie Mandel?
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah.
He was blue, though. But I guess they come in all stars and stripes, so it could have been him.
Maybe he was.
Don't look at me.
That, honestly, though, that reminds me of the way I get sometimes. For sure, I can relate. Existential crises, maybe not every time I'm recording, but probably on the daily. So
yeah, and usually while we're recording, at least once you have to say.
I'll do it again.
Yeah, that's me. It's every time I have to record. I'm setting up for the podcast. I'll do it again.
I'll do it again.
That's good.
Great way to go.
It just hit me. It came out of nowhere, too. I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
That's PBS Monstrum. I give them props. I like those little series. They're really good. And sorry.
I have an existential crisis every time, I swear.
I'm about to have an existential crisis now. Play it one more time. That's going to happen.
All right. And that is the John Dory on the Yarma-Yahoo. Any thoughts on this, Drea and Brendan? Like I said, this seems very in line with Mexican and Irish folklore. Can we just call it these Aussie Fae and they're just finger-sucking vampires?
Well, they each get their own name because they're from different places, so no.
All right, fine. How about you, Brendan? Where do you...
Finger-sucking vampires.
Yeah, I like them as that. It would be a great Aussie horror movie. I feel like The Simpsons would do those Aussie horror movies
good.
And they had tentacles. All right, but that was fun. But we must leave the Yarma-Yahoo behind. Tell your story, walk-in monstrum. It is time to talk about something that is very similar to Yarma-Yahoo, but much, much more dangerous. In fact, this creature is considered to be Australia's most deadly myth. Roll the clip.
These bears are not your typical cuddly creatures. These fuzzy nightmares are the embodiment of the term death from above. Drop bears. You might be thinking, why are you showing me videos of koalas attacking people? Think again. This is your everyday cute, cuddly koala. And this is a vicious, brooding drop bear. Take note of its razor-sharp claws, unnerving stare, and scarred forehead from countless attacks. The person filming is lucky that this gliding grump's locked up. How deadly is a drop bear attack? And how are people using this food to defend themselves? Let's go on a bushwalk and remember to look up because this is Australia's most notorious creature.
Drop bears.
Like drop biscuits, but scarier.
So drop bears, a deadly koala variant. Sounds ridiculous, right? Could be. It could be. Because before getting into the myths surrounding these creatures, who physically resemble koala bears very, very closely in every way. Drop bears look like koalas. Let's hear more about the threat that they present.
One of the most terrifying aspects of drop bears is their hunting behavior. They wait patiently on the branches of trees, sometimes for up to 4 hours, waiting for their unsuspecting prey to walk underneath. Then, with lightning-fast reflexes, they drop down and make a surprise kill. These little tree ninjas have been responsible for numerous attacks on humans. The initial impact stuns their prey. Then, they go for the jugular, biting or slashing the neck with their claws. Luckily, there haven't been many fatal drop bear attacks. Still, they were damaging and scarring enough for people to develop inventive self-defense methods. Drop bears are intelligent creatures who will attack anything threatening their safety. So some locals' first instinct was to turn themselves into an echidna, but instead of quills, they tied forks in their hair. Clever. Eventually, people decided that forks were too much hassle and weren't fashionable enough, so they made this thing, the Bushman's safety hat. A dunce cap-looking hat topped with a silver tip for self-defense.
Ooh, I am getting one of those. I'm not gonna get all scarred up walking around Sydney. Drop bear defenses.
Yeah, I'm not going to walk around with like forks looking like an idiot. I'll wear the dunce cap, thank you.
Exactly. I like the first instinct was the forks, but yeah, everyone all agreed. Like, this looks stupid. Just give me the dunce cap.
Somehow that's the better choice.
You know what? It said it attacks people when it's scared, but it's like it'll wait on the branch for 4 hours for you to walk underneath it and then just attack you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not believing the cover story for these drop bears. Yeah, right. They are just waiting. And you're calling them the deathly tree ninjas of Australia. But I do like the Australian inventiveness to prevent things going on. Yes, the bladed dunce cap. You could use that for a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, though, the forks in the hair is more useful because, duh. I mean, like, look at Ariel. She knows what to do with forks and hair.
It's true, but you need a strap. Some people's hair can't support multiple forks being in there and getting any kind of...
put it, like, attach it to a headband or something. Get creative. Figure it out. True.
But these things do have an interesting backstory, though, because while the story is spread throughout Australia, here we go. Breaking news. No one in Australia actually believes it. It is just some of that classic Aussie humor used to mess with foreign tourists. This is the dick move of the cryptid world, is the spreading of drop bears. Its origins can be traced back, though. The first mention of drop bears in print comes from an Australian newspaper, an innocuous listing in the Canberra Times, the paper for the national capital, in 1982. And I'm going to read this. I guess it was a personals listing. It says, quote, "Tam, beware of drop bears in the future, for sure. Totally love, Clint." There's a message in the 21st birthdays columns read, "It isn't clear who Tam or Clint are." And I'll say it's not even clear what drop bears are through that. But that is the first appearance in print.
So it was probably just like an inside joke amongst chaps.
Yeah, but it was a joke from Tam for his friend Clint. Drop bears. That could mean anything. Two guys wishing themselves their 21st birthday in the newspapers are suspect enough. Brendan, you ever listed your friend's birthday in a paper?
Once.
Every year.
No, come on. You live out there in the old rural area. I'm sure you guys are sending each other Facebook listings in the paper or whatever. All right. Maybe not. So
that's how they used to share memes back then.
That's true. Things moved a little slower back then, as they did in Australia. I mean, think about this. This was listed in 1982. We just know about it now, So
Oh, we do? Speak
Yeah,
for
again,
yourself,
it's the
bro.
telephone of cryptid knowledge, like the outline and the picture of the outline. And the other
I've
one.
been knowing about.
All right,
Pretty sure a
fine.
lot of
Yeah,
us.
but even though that they said there was reports of them, maybe they're just koala bears with rabies.
Yeah, it's true that they
Oh yes,
like
they
they
were
do
just
with
they got too
chupacabra all the time,
koalas
right,
that got
Drea?
too drunk.
It's always like blaming on a rabid creature like chupacabras.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the rabies and chupacabra. That's a, they
Oh
always,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, mange and shit like that.
Mange.
I mean, look it. So koalas are known for getting high as fuck off of eucalyptus leaves, right? So what if they're just like they got too fucking stoned and took a tumble?
And they're just tweaking.
Yeah,
You have to be sitting up in a tree staring for 4 hours too, right?
that's what they do. Yeah, they already do that. So I'm thinking one just like either got drunk or too high and just fell asleep and fell off and then landed on someone's head.
Dude, could you imagine 4 hours would feel like 10 hours if you were high?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we've been there before. I'm sure you're right there right now, Brendan. How long do you think we've been doing this
I am
podcast
there.
for tonight?
Don't look up. I think
He's
there's
like,
a timer.
man, we've been
Don't look
doing this for 3 hours already.
All right, well, I'm coming out off the top limb like a drop bear here with more. But so some trace the legend of the drop bear back to a sketch by legendary Australian comedian. A sketch, not a comedy sketch, not a sketch. I guess I should have put that. A comedy sketch by legendary Australian comedian and actor Paul Hogan, best known to foreigners as Crocodile Dundee himself, from his show, The Paul Hogan Show, which aired in the 70s and 80s. And there is a scene, you can find it on YouTube, where it is a parody of Indiana Jones called Cootamundra Hogs. And where
My God.
Paul Hogan is playing an Indiana Jones character who is exploring the fictional Valley of Gowanus when he is attacked by killer koalas. And these koalas, they leap from the trees and they begin savaging him. And then he falls to the ground covered in koalas. Like I said, you can find it on YouTube. It's pretty funny. I might play it on the next live stream. So go hit the like button. But yeah, Unbelievers podcast on YouTube. Go subscribe. We'll probably watch that clip. It's fun. You should check it out. But
It sounds fun. Yeah.
so that is kind of one of the other first early references of drop bears in culture. And it goes back even further than this, though. People have recalled being warned about drop bears while camping in the 70s as a way to stop kids from straying too far from the campsite. Just getting a little more realistic from Yarma Yahoo sucker finger guy tales. Now, like, no, just bears will fall from the trees.
Like, oh, that makes sense. Okay. That sounds legitimate.
There had to be a generation of Australians that rejected Yarma Yahoo. Like, there's no way there's a thing with sucker fingers, vampires. I'm not buying it. So, but then at one time, a guy named Cote was in the army in the late 1980s as part of the Survey Corps. He said that sometimes visiting soldiers from the UK and US would come over to do exercises out in the Australian bush. And when they did, they'd ask about how to avoid Australia's famously dangerous snakes and spiders. And then the Aussie guys would say to the other foreigners, oh, forget the snakes and spiders. It's the drop bears you have to look out for. He recalled telling visiting soldiers the only way to keep away drop bears was to smear the Australian condiment Vegemite on their faces.
That makes sense. I would have just said if you want to avoid those animals, just don't go to Australia.
Well, I guess they weren't there on their own volition. They're part of the army. And it says, quote, invariably our Aussie soldiers would chuck the visiting soldier a jar of Vegemite, and it would take them a few days to catch on that their Vegemite on their face wasn't doing anything. He said, great gag, you gum sucker.
Gum sucker. I like that. I'm going to use that. Wait, is that derogatory? It sounds bad.
You gum sucker? I guess it depends on where you're from in Australia. But yeah, I mean, if anyone's ever seen Vegemite or started to smear it on their face, it's pretty nasty. I imagine it smells really bad already. And
yeah, I was like, if you've seen it, I mean, like, have you tasted it?
No, I did see it.
It's
That's
not
why I
great.
didn't taste it.
Yeah.
But there is, however, one clear marker of when the mythical drop bears began to enter Australian pulp culture. In 1981, bass player Chris Toms and his New Zealander friend Johnny Batchelor formed a band in Sydney with a post-punk melodic pop sound. After some deliberation, they decided to name the band the Drop Bears. And they agreed to the name, but Batchelor said that he quickly grew tired of it when they began to visit radio stations around Australia to promote their music. He said the first question was always the same: what is a drop bear? And I gotta say, I checked this band out. I'm going to play one of their songs when we get out of this segment, so stick around for that. Because their stuff is from early 1981. Their music is pretty good, but if you fast forward to 1985, yikes. Even like a badass name couldn't have saved him at that point. Any Drop Bear song from 85, not good. But I have one more Drop Bear thing for us to discuss, and it comes from News 7 in Australia in a segment called Scottish Reporter Tricked into Wearing Protective Gear for Drop Bears. The classic tourist trick being used to embarrass a visiting Scottish reporter. I don't know, this is like tricking the tricksters in New Orleans, where they're like, wait, where you got your shoes at? Like, they've really embraced.
Yeah.
This is their one gag that warning people about drop bears. So let's hear this poor Scottish lady being armored up to face the most dangerous game, drop bears.
So Deb's going to be holding a drop bear. She's got the drop bear suit on. How are you feeling?
Well, at the moment, okay, because there's nothing near me, but it is a bit like a Batman suit. So I'm a bit worried about why I need this level of protection.
So drop bears are a close cousin of the koala, but they're actually really vicious. So it's sort of like a dingo and a normal domestic dog. They're bigger, they've got longer claws. They've actually got really small fangs, and the interesting thing about the fangs is they have a really mild venom. It's not like a snake venom that can make you really sick, but it just causes a lot of really local irritation. So the third most common injury that we see in tourists in Australia is actually from drop bear attack.
This is the news they're doing this to.
Okay.
No fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice and steady with the bear. Keep them calm.
Yep.
Everybody looks very worried about this.
They're handing it to her.
I'm trying not to be worried because I'm being told.
I'd be scared of the koala though on its own anyway.
We've been told that this is quite a dangerous bear that's been known to attack people. It's called a drop bear because they drop out of the tree to attack people. Just been handed it and had to put on all of this protection gear because of what it might do to me.
Is this cruel to do to this lady? I mean, it's kind of funny, but
it's pretty funny.
It's hilarious.
It's a harmless prank, so I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
It ends up being one, but I mean, just I don't know, the psychological trauma they're doing to this lady. She is armored up. She has like Batman armor on, like there's this full-on armor suit.
She should feel safe. She should feel perfectly safe.
And everyone's in on it. I mean, they're just like, hey, we're going to make you Scottish people look like dumb idiots. Yeah, come on. This is an actual news lady. They're just totally clowning after like, you never heard of drop bears. But let's hear how this wraps up. So yeah, she's dressed like Batman with goggles on, holding a drop bear, looking like she's about to cry. This is classic Aussie humor at its best. Let's see how this plays out.
I'm not quite sure what it's doing right now. Shit. Oh, it's looking at what? Okay.
No,
right.
I thought he was going to get you.
Right. I really want to take it off.
I-10 insurance might not cover this. Do you want to take it off?
Shit. I'm really not.
Okay. I'm going to get the dark gun. Just don't go.
No, okay.
Notice I have an extra thumb on each hand compared to the koala.
No, take it off.
Please take it off me.
Yep.
Okay.
It's all right.
Okay.
Good work, Sam. Thanks, mate. That was great.
There we go.
You were kidding me! You're kidding me!
You look great.
Fucking Aussies.
Fucking Aussies.
Oh my god,
Got
I
him.
totally brought this. Totally bought it. Hook, line and sinker. Oh my god. I'm like, it doesn't feel like it's doing anything, and then your face was just like, oh no, it's doing it. It's doing it. Oh, it doing what? I'll be asking guys.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's rare to hear a news lady curse like that, but man, that really actually got to her.
That's the thing. It's like, if you're gonna pull a prank like that, Scottish people can take a joke.
Yeah, I guess you can do it anyway. I did like
Fucking Aussies.
fucking Aussies, man.
They're just a lot more casual about cussing. Like, we're just such babies over here. The FCC is only here to collect money. Like, it's
Yeah, I know, but it's like a big deal. Like you imagine, like I don't know, like Brian Gumball or somebody, like any news person, like actually cursing during a segment. You know, it's cool.
Well, I love to see reporters crack one like that. One where I guess like a bird or a bug like flies in his face or in his mouth. It's like, what the fuck was that?
Right, or the lady who falls in the grapes or whatever. The lady doing the
Yeah, that one's great.
That's fantastic.
It's terrible, but it's funny. First time I ever saw that, I laughed so hard.
Yeah, it's just the sound she makes and everything. But that was an accident, so that was a little more natural. This is a totally planned out bit. It's kind of a tired Australian bit. Now, look out for the drop bears. But if you're gonna fall for it, keep going for it. So yeah, all right, yeah, classic humor there. But so that's it. That's it. Guess it for drop bears. I did check out a few other ones though
that Australia has. They've got things called the devil dragon, which is kind of just a big version of a kimono dragon. They also have something called the gunny or the goonai, which is a big wombat with antlers. So I thought that kind of piqued our eye. Wombat preservationists is kind of like our thing, but this is most likely a taxidermy. It's like a jackalope. It's like the Australian version of the jackalope, the goonai. Doesn't take much to put antlers on a wombat, but there's one I did find interesting, and we're going to mention it briefly, and this is called the Ura Beast, and I think this one is pretty unbelievable. The Ura Beast is a 30-foot-long, bulldog-faced amphibious beast sighted in 1890. The first accounts of this bizarre event were published in the Brisbane Courier, then in the Melbourne Argus in the February 28th, and again on March 1st, 1890. A cadre of credible witnesses testified the swamp had been infested by an unidentifiable 30-foot-long monstrosity. Considerable excitement has been caused in the Euro reports as to an extraordinary animal having been seen in a swamp at Wailowennaby, almost 14 miles distant. So for 6 years or more, the swamp is reputed to have been the haunt of something abnormal. Tales were told of dogs flying out of the place and never going back. And last week, a couple of young men went into the swamp for the purpose of cutting reeds when they were alarmed by a sudden splashing and snorting near at hand, and the rushing waves as if allowed passage to some large animal. They quickly retired, but next day, one ventured back to carry out the reeds he had cut when he was again alarmed by strange sounds. He leaped on a log, and at some 30 paces away, he saw a large head appeared, which he likened to that of a bulldog. He kept his position for about 10 minutes. When it disappeared, the motion of the rush giving the idea of an animal being 30 foot long. So talk about a bullfrog. This is a bulldog frog, 30 foot tall, I guess, in a bog. Do I have to keep rhyming? I'll stop.
No, you don't. Absolutely not. Thank you.
I hope its head is the size of an actual bulldog, but its body's so much bigger.
It would be, as if like a bulldog got stuck in some kind of like giant bullfrog's mouth. And there is a little bit of confusion when people think this is the bunion. I know we talk about the bunion. This could be it, but people say, no, this is a different thing. This is totally aquatic. And a team of 40 men armed only with a net, that was a weird brag, went out searching for this thing, but they only found tracks, and the creature could still be at large to this day. No pun intended. That's a Euro beast. Just another thing to keep an eye out for in Australia. So, yes. All right. So I wanted to kind of throw another one in there at the end there. The Euro beast, which there's not a lot out there for. It's an up-and-comer, though. I mean, it takes 100 years, but it's up-and-coming.
It'll get there.
So we have come to the end of the Aussie cryptids. There's so much out there, and I got to ask you, what should the poll be for this? And because I mean, we've kind of brought up 4 cryptids. I don't know, is it best cryptid, coolest cryptid, scariest cryptid?
It's kind of always something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I never know what to do for the
something with that. But I think the
That's
choices
not
for
a cryptid. This is a cryptid.
Well, it's not a cryptid, but this
Which
is.
Which cryptid do you think you could take on and win?
All right. Yeah, which one could you take on and win? And there'll be lots of choices for this. The bunyip, the yarma yahoo, the drop bear, the band, the drop bears, the devil dragon. I don't know if I'll put the band in there, but maybe I will. Go to unbelieverspodcast.com and tell us about that. And speaking of the band, the drop bears, maybe we'll throw them in. So let's get out of this and hear a bit from the 1981 classic from the band Drop Bears. All right, so we're going to move on a little bit, and let's get into the Unbelievers mailbag.
You have new mail waiting.
Oh, shit. Rob. Well, I think Rob left with the mail clips. Hold on. Is that right? Wait, no. It's time for the Unbelievers mailbag.
The Unbelievers mailbag.
Hey, man, check your mailbox.
Hey, you got some new mail over here.
Sup, bitches? It's mail time.
You have new mail waiting.
How'd she sneak in the end there? All right. Yes, Unbelievers mailbag. And we had an email come in response to last episode, and the title was Alien Shagger So Sad. And it says, this is from Unbeliever Ronnie Dawson. So disappointed I did not make it into the Alien Love Fest list. How many aliens do I have to make sweet love to make the list? So evidently...
Well, you have to just, you have to announce it more to people. You have to put it out there or else we're not going to know about it if you just keep it all private, like a prude.
Right. And it goes on. And now it's on Front Street. Now we know. It says, the ET put a 17-inch alien penis on me to better interact with the species. Surely that must come for something.
I bet it counts.
Oh, it counts. It counts. It says, here's a preview of my story, and it's a link to a video titled Ronnie Dawson, Mega Abductee. And included also in this email is a sketch of the second of 2 alien sex encounters. And I don't even think I can show the picture that this illustration he sent me on here. So evidently an ET gave him a 17-inch strap on to use on other aliens. And this is a listener of our show.
Oh my God.
Good for him, Font it. I'm glad he's talking about it because how else are we supposed to know? Not a mind reader for crying.
Hey, look, I'm glad too. And I reached out after this and explained this is an egregious error on our part, not including you in Alien Love Fest 2. And I asked if he'd like to maybe come on a live stream and talk about this because I've got a lot of questions about this. And it looks like Ronnie has agreed. So hopefully, go follow us on YouTube. We should be getting the exclusive with Meg Up T, Ronnie Dawson soon. That should be exciting. And
heck yeah.
And while we're here, while we're doing the mailbag, since this is Australia we've been talking about, let's go a little upside down because when you're talking about Australia, the Unbelievers voicemail calls you. Let's see if this works. This is called Phoning an Aussie. Issa, give me some phoning music. Put that didgeridoo back in. This does sound like a didgeridoo.
Hello.
Hello, is this Raymond from Australia?
It is. How are you?
Raymond, welcome to Unbelievers Podcast. We're recording you. It's Ross. I'm here with Drea and Brendan. Say what's up.
Hey, what's up?
So, Raymond, we had to get in touch with you because we just covered Australian cryptids, and you have always been our boy. You actually read our intro for the Yowie episode when we did our last Australian. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Been a while.
Indeed, it has been a while. It's good to hear you again. We needed some actual Australians. I realize all the clips we have are just Americans and Scottish people on here. It wasn't a lot of Australians. Besides the one, we got a new classic soundboard clip for you. I don't know if you can hear these, Raymond. I hope you can, but someone's saying...
I'll try.
Wait, let's see if we can do it here.
We don't know.
No, not David Lee Roth. Fucking Aussies. But here you are. So I want to ask you...
Right?
I want to ask you a few questions about what we talked about tonight in your opinion. So what is your opinion on the bunyip? Did you ever, were you told tales of the bunyip as a young Australian lad?
As kids. The bunyip's the one that dragged you into the lake, I think. Is that the one?
From what we hear, it hugs you to death and it has every feature imaginable. It's got a crocodile bill and tusks.
Yeah, that's the one. It's I think from memory, because I haven't looked into it, but I think the bunyip was a weird little critter that lived in the ponds, lakes, rivers, etc. Murray-Darling River. Made it sound like a crying baby, so people would come to it and then would drag you to your death in the water. So that's mine. We did hear about that a fair bit as kids. We were told not to go near billabongs and things as kids because the bunyip would get you.
All right, so that's almost like the water babies, right, guys? Like Skinwalker Ranch kind of territory.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So bunyip, that checks out. We also talked about something called the Yarama-Yahoo, which is some toothless vampire that jumps out of trees and sucks your blood with his fingers.
Yeah, I never ever heard of that one before, and I had to look it up because you sent me the message. That looks like it's like a frog. Is it a red frog that drops on you during the daytime if you're sleeping under a tree? Is that the story?
Right. It's like a red ghoulie, like a toilet ghoulie, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I looked it up. It said like a red frog looking thing. I thought it might have been like Tilladink. Have you heard of Tilladink?
No, what's Tilladink? Please tell us about Tilladink.
That's like an Aboriginal myth of like this frog that goes around hoarding all the water. It drinks all the water from like the lakes, the rivers, the ponds, dams, drinks it all so none of the other animals get any water and then everyone's like dying. So the other animals conspire together and tickle him and he He tickles and throws up all the water. And that's what made all the water in Australia, like all the waterways and things. Tiddlywink was like throwing up the water. He made all the rivers. He made all the dams because he was just a greedy bastard. That's the story of Tiddlywink. And that's what I thought this thing was like because it kind of looks like a frog. But yeah, no, I've never heard of that one. That's an odd one. I'll have to keep an eye out for it if I'm ever sleeping under trees.
Which you want to do, I'm sure. Yeah, Tiddledink or whatever. That's like we have Paul Bunyan, who's a guy with a ox and everything. But you guys have a lot of cool. Hey, if I saw that thing, I would tell it to hit the frog and toad. You know what I mean, Raymond?
Yeah, exactly. Hit the frog and toad. With your China bike.
Tell your story walking on your bike, right?
On your bike, back to the pavilion.
All right. Yeah. Man, Raymond, you're better than a ham sandwich having you on. I got one more for you, and it's one. Raymond loves my Aussieisms. You see? See, I'm getting real reactions from him. This is a real.
You're all over it. You're all over it.
Oh, this is a rip snort of a call. So we have one to ask you about, and that is, of course, the classic Aussie humor stunt of drop bears. You guys love messing with anyone who comes to your continent. What say you? Answer for the sins of drop bears.
Drop bears are koala bear's evil cousin.
Stop tricking us.
When I was a kid, it was a full joke parody at Americans' expense. So it was directed towards you guys. But I think as time's gone by, people are starting to think it's a real thing. It's become like this urban myth. So it was clearly a jest to make, as we would say, dumb Americans feel scared in the bush. But yeah, I think as time's gone by, it's become more real. Maybe it's a tulpa. Bigfoot could be kind of tulpa. So could drop bears.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is you guys' tulpa. This is what you get for messing with us. Now it's coming back to bite you in the arse. And hey, it's only fair.
Yeah,
it's almost revenge for us sending our channelers over there to trick you guys. Because, we did send a lot of channelers, and you guys definitely got tricked by them. So we'll call that one. We'll call it a wash.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I was going to say, though, something I can't remember. I know a lot of people jest about the drop bears. But yeah, he was a myth. He was a myth originally, invented to trick you guys. So.
All right. Well, you guys have been found out, and I appreciate you coming on, Raymond. It is good to hear your voice again on this, and thanks again for all the stuff you do. And we'll be talking again soon. This actually worked out great. We recorded the episode. Look at that, and because you're on the mailbag, and because when it's Australian, the mailbag calls you. It's upside down.
Yes. We're always upside down. We're not even really here, you know that. We're just actors paid by someone.
I knew you.
I love how transparent he is about it.
Yeah. Well, all right. I've got to get the truth out, mate. Get the truth out.
Absolutely. Appreciate that.
Well, that's what this show is all about, getting to the truth, and we've finally done it again. Thanks a lot, Raymond. So on your bike and everything. Thanks for being on. We'll talk again soon, my friend. Goodbye.
Yep. Catch you later. Thanks for the call. Bye.
Right, bye, you.
Right, take care. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Look at that. That was a great job. All right. And that's it. That's it for this week's Unbelievers voice and upside down regular. What's it called again? It is the
Unbelievers mailbag.
Hey man, check your mailbox.
Hey, you got some new mail over here.
Sup, bitches? It's mail time.
All right. Well, we've coming close to the end of the show. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you, who should I ask? We got to get to our third favorite segment. And Brendan, what is that?
Poll results.
This week's poll, which alien would you have sexual relations with? And the choices were the Greys, the Reptilians, Tentacle Aliens, Nordics, or other. I'm going to ask you, Drea Mora, what do you think the Unbelievers said?
All right, so I think that most, quote unquote, normal people would have said the Nordics because they're like the most like human shaped, but I'm pretty sure our listeners would pick the tentacle.
All right, Dre's going with the Tentacle Aliens. How about you, Brendan Shay?
I'm going to go with the Greys.
All right. Well, congratulations. To Drea, the Greys with 0%. Tentacle Aliens, 44% of the vote for the Tentacle Aliens.
Do I know us or do I know us?
Good job on that, Drea. But of course, there are others. What alien would you have sexual relations with? I'm not sure. I can't tell you who to have sex with, but I'm pretty sure I can make Russ say the woo. Signed, Hoot Like an Owl Guy. P.S. David Huggins is not my father. All right. You're going to make me say the woo. I can't say the woo, but I will say... Thank you so much. Hoot Like an Owl Guy. P.S. David Huggins is not my father. Which alien would you have sexual relations with? Just give me an alien that can be softened, bent over, and hardened up again. That's E.T. That's E.T. From the Damn Creeps. Thank you, the Damn Creeps. And I don't have the Damn Creeps. I'm not Rob, but I do have this.
That looks like that's E.T.
Thank you so much, the Damn Creeps. Who? I'm doing the who thing again. I'm going real back. Which alien would you want to have sexual relations with? I once had a dream where I had sex with a xenomorph. When I woke up, I was drenched, humiliated, and horrified at my compulsive behavior. And that is from Whooping Hooper. Thank you so much, Whooping Hooper. I know I have something for that.
I was drenched, humiliated, and horrified at my compulsive behavior.
Thank you, Whooping Hooper. Which alien would you have sexual relations with? I think a xenomorph would give some awesome throat action. Gotta watch those metallic teeth, though. Roth Show. Oh,
God.
Thank you. That is from Nathan's Bed. Thank you, Nathan's Bed. And
Nathan's Bed.
He wanted some Roth Show. I think I got that for you. Where is that?
When you're abducted by aliens, you get sex probed. Roth Show.
Thank you. Thank you, Nathan's Bed. Which alien would you have sexual relations with? I'd love for Akon to lift me like a feather. Signed, Blue Avian Flu. Thank you, Blue Avian Flu. I'm trying to find something Akon related. I don't know if we have that, but you can have this.
That's not a good...
Of course, we're talking about the... Elizabeth Clare Akon one, but thank you so much. Blue Avian Flu. Which alien would you have I'm reading ahead. Which alien would you have sexual relations with? British gray reptilian tentacled Nordics. No, wait. Does Alpha have a sister? I'm looking for a little Melmacian action. Signed, Ramadus. Ramadus, thank you. You're looking for
British
gray reptilian tentacled Nordics. Thank you so much, Ramadus. Which alien species would you have sexual relations with? I would love to make love to the alien girl from V from the 80s so she can mount me. Then I'll be able to rip her face to see her reptile head. Jesus.
Whoa.
Thank you, Chris Padilla. But Chris, I'm going to warn you one thing about this is that...
we don't get in bed with the reptilians, okay? It's gay for one thing. We don't do that.
Just a heads up. Thank you, Unbeliever Chris Padilla. Which alien would you have sexual relations with? Have you ever seen a Chewbacca from Community Dog? Oh, I don't know. Have I?
I missed that one.
I can't believe I was that close to a ride. Have you ever seen a Chewbacca?
Thank you, Community Dog. I, in fact, have seen a Chewbacca. Good one, actually. You're in the lead, weirdly. Which alien species would you have sexual relations with? All these options in the poll, but y'all don't have any bowls? Oh, from Friendly Weatherman. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we skimped on that. So here you go, Friendly Weatherman.
We went to this room. There was this bowl on this table, and I was supposed to ejaculate into the bowl.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping the polls pure, as always.
I love that clip.
Good job, Friendly Weatherman. Which aliens would you have sexual relations with? A tissue paper or two. Have you seen the porno where Corey is a good boy and David Wilcock is fucking Beverly? Oh, no. Oh, no. And man, I had seen that Fuck You Beverly clip earlier. I didn't grab it. Thank you, Tycoon Titty Boy. Very good one, Tycoon Titty Boy. Which alien would you have sexual relations with? A new face for skeleton. Oh, wait, that's from last week. All right, that was the last one. And I think the other one was, I'm going too far. My bad. I'm dipping into.
You usually do go too far.
I've gone way too far. I've got into a poll from a couple weeks ago, but I'm not going to play the Skeletor clip. I'm not going to do it. So many good ones this week. Wow. I'll read a couple that I enjoyed. I thought the Damn Creeps. Just give me an alien that could be softened, bent over, and hardened up again. That's E.T. I like that one a lot. Brendan, did any stand out to you?
That one was funny, and then the The name Nathan's Couch, I thought that name was humorous.
Wait, was it Nathan's couch or was it Nathan's bed? It was his bed. I think a xenomorph.
Nathan's bed. Yeah. Nathan's bed. Yeah.
So I think a xenomorph would give some awesome throat action. Got to watch those metallic teeth, though. Roth Show. So thank you. That was a good one.
When you're abducted by aliens, you get sex probed. Roth Show.
All right, staying on brand. Good one. I like that one. Drea, any stand out to you?
It's funny. Yeah, the ones that I wrote down were the ones that you said, the ones that Brendan said, and then I've got Whooping Hooper's drenched, humiliated, and horrified.
Right, Whooping Hooper. I once had a dream where I had sex with a xenomorph. When I woke up, I was drenched, humiliated, and horrified at my compulsive behavior. That is a really, really good one. This is tough.
This is really tough.
Brendan, put in your final vote. Since you're sitting in the Rob chair tonight, who do you think won this week?
I don't know. That last one there was pretty funny. Woke up drenched.
Okay.
Horrified and yeah.
All right. From the great PP reading on his book about good deeds, or whatever that book was about again. All right. So congratulations to Whooping Hooper with I Once Had a Dream Where I Had Sex with a Xenomorph.
I was drenched, humiliated, and horrified at my compulsive behavior.
Congratulations. You just won this week's poll results. Wow, we've come to the end of the program. Before we go, Brendan, Shay, do you have anything you want to say or plug or anything like that?
Thanks for having me back on. I hope this becomes a regular occurrence. But yeah, it's great to be back.
Yeah, go follow Brendan on guests on Instagram and stuff like that, right, Brendan? Brendan's gonna be around with us. He's gonna do fun stuff. Brendan, we love having you on. I appreciate you being on. How about you, Drea? Anything you want to say?
I just want people to fucking be careful when you go to Australia because don't worry about the cryptids. Just fucking be careful for Australians.
Right. And reach out to our buddy Raymond. He's out there. He can give you a hand, I assume, from the way he was talking. And I'll just say, give us a follow on YouTube. Go support the show on Patreon, patreon.com/Unbelievers Podcast. There'll be a new bonus episode coming before the end of the month. We're always putting stuff up there, always doing fun stuff. I've got some weird ideas I'm going to throw to y'all about stuff I want to do on the Patreon that just for the listeners, something to send out. I haven't sent anything out in a little while. But yeah, go follow us on YouTube and do that. The Unbelievers Podcast hosts today were Drea Mora, Brendan Shay, and me, Russ Ryan. Our editor is Issa YZ. You can join our Patreon by going to patreon.com/Unbelievers Podcast for monthly bonus episodes and more. You can follow us on Twitter at Unbelievers Pod and Instagram at Unbelievers Podcast. Our Facebook group is the Unbelievable Podcast Network. And check out our merch store at TeePublic. Our music advisor is Pandora3373. Our composer and theme song creator is Unbeliever A.A. Ron, a.k.a. Aaron Shilb. Go find him on Instagram at the Aaron Shilb. Our official graphic designer and card maker who answered our call tonight is Raymond Orwell. Check him out at Harley Warren. I didn't even ask for his plugs. I'm giving them now. HarleyWarren.com on the internet. Our official Guarding the Bench is at Crack and Sack. Our official Alien Bopper is Nunchuck Bop. And from Patreon, our official Reptilian at the Post Office is Postal Patty. Our official extraterrestrial woman still waiting for hashtag rubbing heads to Trandus Crescent Moon. Our official Reverend Doctor of the podcast is the non-Newtonian Druid. Our official Big Island Paranormal Friendly Weatherman is Green Finnock. Our official procrastinator is Jeffrey Hartner-Riff. Our official Baby Yoda publicist is Pam Z. Our official Unbeliever listening between stations for a message from Art Bell is Scott E. Our official Unbeliever raising Punk Wedgies is Joe Filler. Our official Madman is Unbeliever Adam. Our official Unbelievers time travel is Taylor Nelson. Our official Ghost Hunter is Amelia Childs. She's just in Hubie Halloween. Our official senior European correspondent is Kay Mill of the I Don't Know Podcast. Our official paranormal art curator is Isis Hayes. Our official Rod is Rob Ba 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 Ba. Our official Unbelievers in need of titles are Mike Henry, Todd Excellent, Vista Sandra, Deborah Foles, Ramiro, Trash Baby, Adam Dvorak, Red Troy, Josh. And this week's Unbeliever focus is Mega Abductee Ronnie Dawson, who I hope to get to talk to very soon. I have many questions, as I'm sure you all do. Did this experience in any way involve
sucker cup-laden appendages and regurgitation?
Good night. On your bike.
The bunyip's always nasty, and the bunyip's very mean. He's the most unpleasant monster that you have ever seen. So you better come home quickly, and you better hide very soon.
Discontinue. 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 Discontinue.